Hello, everybody in the cave. My name is Danotage, and welcome to another update video. However, this one is not just a mini update. This is going to be based on everything that they talked about during the Tarkov TV podcast. Something that Nikita likes to do every now and then when he's getting ready for a big update. I'll tell you right now, there was no mention of a wipe. There was no mention of anything coming anytime soon for a new season or what have you. So before we get into anything, just remember that. I mean, it's not like anybody was really expecting anything like that, but I think it's important to point that out right at the top. Today's episode of whatever we want to call this, I don't think we have a name for it yet, but it's here. We're gonna talk about this right here in the cave. So a bunch of things got talked about. Obviously, this video is being recorded after everything's been announced throughout the week. They did this on Friday the 1st, and a lot of people thought it was a April Fool's thing. There's a bunch of stuff being April Fooled, but it was real. It was real, and it very much felt like Nikita was trying to say, hey, we've been away for a while, obviously for all kinds of different reasons, but they've apparently been working every day since they probably introduced their new version of what is it, Unity, right? And they've probably been working to their bones off, so they haven't really had time to pay attention to anything else other than the game. So here's what they went through. Well, let's first start off with one of the first things that they showed which was the new pistol, or the new class of pistols. So they started by showing off one of the revolvers. They showed off one version of it, and apparently there are going to be many versions of it. There's a revolver. The smallest of them all will be a one-slot item. So you can fit it in your pockets, you can fit it in your rigs, you can fit it in your backpack if you want, but if you put it in your pockets or your rigs, you'll be able to hot slot them or quick slot them, so that essentially, I guess in a way, you can kind of become Ocelot Revolver from Metal Gear and just have like 3 or 4, or even if you have like a belt rig, just a bunch of them, and just start blasting everybody around you. I don't know how viable that's going to be, but it's going to be possible. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, there will be multiple calibers. If you can see what we're looking at here in the video, there's a lot not happening, meaning they're taking lots of shots. It was said that they're playing with default, basically just test settings, just to throw the thing in, and these are the default settings that come up. So the damage numbers are not there. Everything, penetration, everything. It's don't worry about what you're seeing. There's going to be a lot of different things coming. There's going to be a speed loader, so that you can speed load fast. Right now, he's literally pulling out the bullets individually and loading them individually. There will be a 357, which I think will be one of the more interesting additions to this, because the 357 is a very large round. That's the big old cannon that you see in movies all the time. So that may be a one-shot kill to the chest at like a level 3 and below or something like that. But anyway, that's going to be very interesting. And I think, I don't know how, I really don't know how excited people were to see that, but it's a cool weapon and it's a cool addition. It's probably why they started off with it. Nikita was probably just a fan of it and he's like, hey, here, take this, have fun with it. Next up, they showed off that, well, so it showed up in chat because they were looking at the in-game build via the Demirka's PC in the background. There is what they were showing off because it was being live. The revolvers were being live tested right there in when the show was happening. But there was an arena there and it was selectable, so chat started freaking out. And it's like, and so Nikita decided to address it. He's like, yeah, arena is almost playable. We just have a bunch of features and a bunch of mechanics that we actually want to tune in and make sure it's proper and working conditions, stuff like that. But apparently he's very excited about it because he's got all kinds of stuff going into the arena. We know a little bit about what the arena is, which is essentially a small PvP area where people went in and just shot each other. Essentially, it's, I guess, very Mad Maxian type of shoot and fight to the death type thing. I don't really know much more than that, and that's not even necessarily fully confirmed, but it is going to be something that is interesting. I I don't know how many players are going to be super interested in it. I know that there is a good amount of people that are like, hey, that's, intriguing. We'll check it out a couple times and see what happens. But that is, they say they're in a good place for that, and that should be fun. There are several mechanics, like I said, that'll be in there, and then it's a pretty big release for sometime maybe this year. They said most likely this year. Don't necessarily count on it, but they're shooting to release it this year. And that, if you're a fan of it or not, I don't know. Just know that they're working on it. They're planning on releasing a lot of things as soon as possible. They're working very hard to get it released because, as we also mentioned, it was also kind of mentioned, is they want to announce the release date for the game sometime this year. Not release it sometime this year, but announce the actual release date sometime this year. So they're getting close. As much as this game has been around for a very long time, and the joke is that this game's never going to be released, it looks like we're going to get there. I don't know when, but, we'll find out soon. Okay, next up was Dlss. For those that don't know what Dlss is the technology from NVIDIA. FSR was also talked about, which is the technology from AMD that does virtually the same thing. They both do very similar things. So basically what DLSS is a technology that is, it is a tech that is very cool in theory. I don't know too many games that have been able to process it properly. They showed off a video, which you are seeing right now, and this is directly from NVIDIA, meaning they processed it and they put together the promo to say, hey, this is what it's going to look like when you have DLSS installed. Or not installed, but, live and working. So what DLSS is like I said, a technology, a mechanic that changes the resolution of the game sort of dynamically to focus on keeping your frames as high as possible. So it's not meant to make things look like foggy at times, like you're buffering a video to keep the same play going the whole time. It's meant to do it sort of subtly. A lot of games that I've seen have it work in, either it doesn't work, meaning it doesn't change the resolution and the frames drop tremendously, or it does change the resolution pretty harshly to keep the frames so that it looks like you're watching a buffering video, which is kind of gross. So what NVIDIA has shown is interesting, and if it does work like that on the majority of PCs playing this game, I would be very impressed with. But I wouldn't necessarily count on it. I wouldn't. It's just that's honest truth. And I mean, I'm not gonna show my AMD fanboy stuff here because I think FSR is gonna do something very similar. From what I understand, is FSR is a little bit better at accomplishing the job than DLSS is. However, they both have problems, and they both have that technology that isn't quite perfected yet. So either way, if this does up the frames for Tarkov players, I think no matter what, it will be good, because one of the most important things is frames when it comes to first-person shooters and competitive and hardcore shooters, because you can have low resolution at times, but as long as you see your target moving at the pace it's supposed to be moving, well, you're more than likely going to hit it and you're going to survive. So that's very important, and it makes a very big difference when playing this game. So hopefully, and I'll tell you that from going from a 1080 Ti to a 6800 XT, the difference of me playing this game went from, very mediocre to a lot better than mediocre. Not actually expert in any way, but I played a lot better, and that truly was because of the resolution and frame rate change. That was huge. So if you're somebody who's sitting on 60 FPS or below, maybe 40, 50, and you're like 1080p, there's a chance that that's hindering you. So hopefully DLSS and FSR will change that. DLSS is meant to come out in the next patch, which should be probably next week. I'm recording this as the week after they did it, so they said either this week or next week, and since it's Friday now, it's probably going to be next week. So be ready. He said, he's like, it's ready, it's just going to come out in the next patch. So be ready for that. FSR will be a little bit later. He said that's almost ready, but it's not quite there yet. So they're working on doing that. And as it releases, or after it releases, they're probably going to fine tune it a little bit more, because that comes with, you know, creating optimization within the game itself, not just the tech. So be prepared for that, and watch that go. Also, here's a little clip of Demirka drinking through his balaclava. Enjoy.
Sok, just time.
All right, so next on the list we have instruments for crafting. Something that I just talked about on stream as like a full-on deep dive into what this could possibly be, but I'll sum it up for you real quick. There's a couple of things. So instruments for crafting is going to take items that already exist and that you already probably used on a daily basis for crafting items and bullets and gunpowders and all kinds of stuff that you find all over the place. You know, in toolboxes you find cricket lighters like crazy. You find wrenches like crazy. You find, you know, sewing kits, etc. And you can buy them on the flea market for a pretty cheap price. As soon as this was announced on the Tarkov TV episode, all those things got bought up pretty quick, because the how Nikita kind of worded it was, this part is probably going to get introduced before the next wipe, meaning in the next few updates. Not major updates, but next few updates. So be prepared for that. They didn't give a certain timetable. It's just kind of something you extrapolate from listening a little bit. But what is an instrument for crafting? Well, let's look at it. So crafting items that you use all the time, like I mentioned before, like cricket lighters and wrenches and sewing kits, etc., will now be something that does not go away when you use it. There was nothing that said no, he didn't say anything about there being durability. I assume that there's not durability. It sounds like if you want to do multiple crafts with the same item, you will have to find two or buy two, because once you use it, it's going to be like being used, so you can't use it again until it's done. So it'll go away, but it'll come back once the craft is done. But it is permanent, so once you have it and you're using it, you don't have to find another one. However, as I believe Pestily extrapolated, and I fully agree with it, they will probably make things a lot more rare. So obviously through people and stuff, they become rare on the flea market because everybody's going to buy them up, right? Well, second, you're going to have the loot tables probably change tremendously. I don't see why they wouldn't, because let's be honest, why make this change if you're not going to make things rare anyway? Other than that, you're just basically buffing these things like crazy and essentially saying, well, here you go, now you don't have to worry about crafting anymore. And that doesn't sound like a very Tarkov thing to do now, does it? So they're probably going to become much more rare. And like I said, the item's going to be gone while it's being used and while it's in a craft, and it'll come back when it's done. Next thing we had was repair kits. Now, I saw a bunch of people in the chat talking about repair kits should not take durability away from your armor and weapons. So before I get into that, what is a repair kit? Repair kit is quite literally a kit that you use to repair your weapons and armor without having to go to a trader. It costs you no money to use it. You just lose durability on the kit itself. So what does that mean? That means that you can save your money, essentially. You might get them through quests, you might get them through you finding them somewhere, and more than likely they're gonna get used up pretty rapidly, so you might even find a bunch in the flea market, who knows. But if you look at how much it costs to do some of the repairs, especially on like a slick or anything tier 6, or on certain weapons, it's quite expensive. It theoretically, based on what we've seen on the video here, is it should have the highest rate of not taking durability away from the item it's crafting or repairing. That may be also dedicated to the next part, which we're showing as well, on your skill. It may very much depend on how much repair skill you have. So if you're level 1, prop ore might actually repair your armor a little bit better. However, you're still going to be paying for money. level, 15, 20, it's going to be, proper is going to be a total waste, and it's probably going to be super inefficient, meaning you're spending money on him, and he's not repairing very well. And then you have skier, same thing, probably like level 30, 40, something like that, where once you get to that level, it's going to be inefficient to use him. And then mechanic, same thing. You probably get to level 50, which is going to be max, and then you are more than likely going to have to be using repair kits so that you have the most efficiency with your items. Now, in my opinion, this is going to be something that is both problematic as far as balance goes, meaning if I'm going to use a repair kit and I'm basically going to toast my armor or toast my weapon because my skill is so low, it's more than likely not going to be used by too many people, and they're just going to keep using the vendors. So either that's not going to depend on your skill, or you're going to have to try to level it as fast as you can, or whatever happens, The big thing is, and the big problem that I see is, well, if I use that and it doesn't work very properly, well, it's going to take me way too long to try to do it on my own to get to level 50, right? So most likely people are going to get past proper maybe, and people getting to elite level and repairing makes, that makes as much sense as getting to level 50 in most any skill, right? Strength and endurance and metabolism are very viable in getting to level 50, but even then it takes hours and hours and hours. I don't know how many people are going to get to this. However, people repair all the time, so maybe it'll be easier than those skills I just named. And by the way, none of this was talked about on the episode. This is all speculation on my part. I hope that this balance comes out with something that works and feels viable to people. I don't see it necessarily happening with what we know, which is basically nothing. So obviously take my word with a grain of salt, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully, this is not, I'm not the only person thinking about this, and hopefully this is not the way it is. So hopefully we see these things come in. And so repair kits, it looks like there's going to be multiple different kinds. And I don't know if there's going to be different versions, if it's just going to be just a repair kit and for armor, and a repair kit for weapons. I don't know. I like the look of them, though. Looked like there was some plates and some weapon parts and all kinds of stuff that actually looked really interesting. So I'm excited for it. And, well, if I don't have to spend any money on repairing, then great. I did see a lot of people talking about how, well, I have millions and millions of rubles. Why do I care about repair kits? Hopefully, all the things I explained before does change that, so that even if you have a bunch of money, at least you can get stuff or get it repaired for, not losing a bunch of durability. But like I said, we'll see when that goes. Somebody, a couple people in chat also mentioned, I didn't really look at chat too much. These are just things I noticed. People in chat mentioned that repair kits should fully repair an item. I don't think that's true. This is sort of what sparked why this balance is going to be weird, and why, coming from the community side, why they're not going to be used as much as I think Nikita wants them to. And because of this mentality, which is, well, why would I use them when I could just pay the, less than a percentage of my rubles to just repair it from a vendor and not have to worry about this taking up room in my stash. And like I said, repair kits are going to have some sort of caveat that makes them want to be used, makes people want to use them. And hopefully with the skill or what have you, because they did show that, that this will be part of that. Okay, next up, daily quest. I think this is one of the last things that... No, they talked about a couple other things. But, okay, next up, daily quests. So, as we all have seen, daily quests are sometimes absolutely something we don't want to do. And not because, we don't like daily quests. I love daily quests. I love the fact that they added operational tasks to the game. I think they are one of the coolest things that, as a streamer who plays this game pretty much every day, loves to see. That way, if I don't want to do the tasks that I'm on, I could just do some daily tasks and still have a bunch of fun. Although with the Toby test right now, we're not doing any tasks, and that's also fun, so who knows. But on a wipe, it does make sense, especially if you're going for a little bit more XP rather than working on some of the painful tasks that you don't want to do. One of the big changes is that weapon types are going to be involved in the elimination tasks now. So instead of, as you've seen, like kill 20 scavs with a PPSH, not always the most fun thing. It's interesting, and if you're looking for like a little bit of meme time, going with a PPSH after some scavs is actually not a bad time. However, some people don't want to do that because the PPSH is just garbage. It's not a super fun weapon for some people. So what they're going to be doing in these quests is going to give you weapon types instead of specific weapons. So it'll be something like kill scavs with SMGs, kill scavs with assault rifles, kill scavs with sniper rifles or shotguns, etc. So that you can kind of choose which weapon you use within that class, within that type. So that'll be a little bit more, or less of a headache for a lot of people working through daily tasks and whatnot. There will also be a new feature where you can re-roll your daily tasks. If you don't like the one that you have, you can re-roll it. It will cost a dynamic amount of money based on probably what kind of task it is, what kind of rep you have with the vendor or with the trader, what sort of level you are, because the daily tasks are dynamic based on your level anyway, so it'll probably be based on that you have to pay that much money in order to re-roll it, and you also lose a little bit of trader rep based on the trader that is giving you the task. That is important because if it drops you below a tier, you may not want to re-roll that right away. You may want to do maybe a quest or two, or get ready to do a quest or two. Or if you can do that, you do the new one immediately, you might want to do that because, well, that's going to help you quite a bit. It's something that I think is good for everybody because you still want to do these tasks. They are fun, they're worth XP, sometimes they're worth a little bit of money, and sometimes the weeklies are really good for rewards as well. Some of them are not, but hopefully that'll get changed as well, so this will be a nice way to re-roll them. Apparently this feature is under a little bit of testing. They were trying something and they're like, oh, that's not working properly, and they shut that down real quick. So that may not be out right away, but look forward to it. Okay, now the big one, the Lighthouse expansion. So during Tarkov TV, we had not seen any of the rogue bosses out yet. Now that we've seen them, we know what to look forward to. Before we get to the rogue bosses, let's talk a little bit about Lightkeeper, the trader that was put into the game, or that will be putting into the game at the actual lighthouse itself. So the footage you're seeing is part of the expansion. It's part of all the things that are being added. It looks like there's going to be an expansion to the water treatment center as well as the peninsula where the lighthouse is. So if you look closely, you can kind of tell where these things are going to be, but we'll just say that they're going to be all over the place. So it's not going to just be a straight line anymore, which is probably my least favorite part about the map, is it's just one long straight line. So now there'll be multiple directions to move in, and it'll be a little bit less chaotic when it comes to PvP. So, Lightkeeper. As you can see from what he is wearing, Lightkeeper is part of the cult. A lot of theories going around, and based on what I talked about in the last video and what I mentioned from like kind of talking to One Peg a little bit, it looks like he's probably the cult leader. He's more than likely the guy that is probably wearing that suit that we see in the little lighthouse glass there. That could be one of his bodyguards. Who knows? There are many different theories going around as to what he is and who he is, but that seems to be the most likely scenario. Is that he's the leader of the cult, and there's going to be some unique things that he has ready for sale. So what we understand is Lightkeeper is going to require an item to have access to him, whether that's a cultist knife, whether that's a key card of some sort, probably not a key card, but something, you know, along the lines of a specific item you need in order to get to him. So Nikita said specifically, you need an item to access him, not trade with him, which apparently you also need specific items for that too, but to even access him. There will be, he kind of hinted that there will be something guarding him. More than likely, we think this is one of the rogue bosses, but who knows? I personally think that it's going to be either a rogue sniper, or not a rogue sniper, a cultist sniper, or just a cultist, like maybe the guy in the glass, a leader cultist guy that's just ready to blast you in the face if you tend to mess with him. So there will be unique items for trade. He's not going to be a normal trader. That's important. So whenever you get access to him and whatever you trade with him, what you get in return will be something that you probably can't get anywhere else. So keep that in mind, something that I think is very exciting. I like stuff like this. I've been waiting for a trader to be in the game for a long time now. Nikita hinted something about it a while back, and I was probably in the stages of like, what if they did this? And well, he talked about it happening. And now, today, we know that it is, and we know it's going to be Lightkeeper, which is awesome. So I'm very excited for that. So like I said, the expansion is going to be held by a boss. Which one? Don't know, but he's going to be protected in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people have been kind of talking about it being one of the rogue bosses that was mentioned before, and in that video, like I said, there's a good chance that rogues and cult have sort of created this sort of agreement where they can coexist and stuff like that. So it could be one of the rogue bosses. It could be something totally different. We're not sure. We do know that there's supposed to be 4 bosses on this map. So it could be somebody that we haven't seen yet. I think it's very possible. We'll see. Anyway, the new expansion is also going to come with the 3 new rogue bosses. The bad boys. Look at these guys. They're scary looking. Although, again, I'll repeat this because I thought it as soon as I saw One Peg say it too. I mentioned One Peg a lot. We talk a lot about Tarkov. Big pipe, got small butt. I don't know why. He's got to do some hip thrusts or something. He got small butt. He's a pirate, and he's got strong forearms, but I think he skips leg day pretty often. And I think I showed it to Katie the other day, and she said I think he has negative butt, and I thought that was interesting and funny. Anyway, so we have 3 different rogue bosses. I mentioned go watch the other video as I go into detail about them and what's going on. This image that I just showed you is new since the last time they showed it, or since the last video I made, but there are some cool things. So I mentioned both Big Pipe and Knight in that video. What I didn't mention was oh no, I did actually mention Bird Eye as well. So the theory that a couple of my friends have mentioned, a couple of people have talked about, I don't know how popular the theory is. It would kind of make sense, but I would be willing to bet that it's not him, because I wouldn't think that rogues and cult would have this agreement to where they protect each other. I just think they're allowing each other to coexist. I think they're friendly, but they're not friends, if that makes sense. So the theory is that Bird Eye is the sniper that's watching over the way to the lighthouse. If we've theorized properly where he is based on the image, he wouldn't be able to necessarily see that far. It's possible to see a couple of sightlines, but that wouldn't really make any sense as to that would be the boss that is covering the lighthouse as you try to approach Lightkeeper. Again, I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely. I think we're about to see something else that is a possible 4th boss, possibly even a member of the cult in some way, possibly even Lightkeeper himself, who knows, that is protecting the lighthouse. So we do have Bird Eye, sniper. He may or may not be the guy that Nikita talked about, being the guy that is going to be focusing your limbs rather than just trying to kill you. Guaranteed Knight and Big Pipe will try to kill you immediately as soon as they see you. They're more than likely going to be flanked by other rogues as well, so let that be known. But we've seen a couple of things that I think are really cool. It has been confirmed by Nikita himself that the mask from Knight will be lootable. More than likely, a lot of other stuff will be lootable too. I do believe that the Shroud kind of mask from Bird Eye will also be lootable. I'm very excited to see a lot of different things. There's a lot going on. I mentioned the armor stuff in the other episode. I mentioned a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really interesting things going on in the Lighthouse expansion that I'm very excited for. As far as maps go, I will mention this. It was very quickly brought up. Streets of Tarkov, it will be soon, but not too soon. So not soon, but soon were the exact words that Nikita talked about and said. There's a reason for this, from what I understand, is they have so much working for them right now, and they have things going in such a positive way that they don't want to release the map and have it be buggy and not necessarily work. Kind of like how Lighthouse was released, or even worse, Reserve was released. when they released both of those maps, the frame rate on them were garbage. They, you probably remember because Lighthouse wasn't that long ago, is this wipe actually. The frame, you got about a third of the frames, maybe even 2/3 if you were lucky, of what you would normally get in any other map. And for some people that you play with as well, couldn't even play the map because it would be a freeze frame every 10 or so frames. It would be that bad. So what they want to do with Streets is have it working well enough so that they don't have those problems when it releases. Now that they're working with a new version of the engine, a new version of Unity, they can actually test this and do some really cool stuff to hopefully make it as optimized as possible. In my opinion, I think it'll come out better than those other two maps. I don't think it'll be perfect, but I will be happy if it is at least even slightly better than Lighthouse. Because while Lighthouse had problems, it wasn't garbage. It wasn't totally terrible. It just had, a couple frame rate issues for some people. In fact, I'm lucky enough to have this super powerful GPU, and that really didn't have many problems at all. But like I said, I'm not talking about this for myself, I'm talking about this for everybody. So hopefully it's a little bit better, and I think Nikita wants it to be better as well. So that's why it's soon, not soon. There's also, it's a huge map. It's going to be the biggest map that I think exists in the game. So there's a lot of stuff to test. They have a bunch of their artists working on stuff. And I can only imagine what the balancing is going to be like. I can only imagine that the map is going to be extremely full of goodies and some very dangerous parts. So be prepared for that. But again, soon, but not too soon. Okay, next, finally, we have flares. This was talked about very briefly. Only one thing was shown from flares, which was the standard flare that Nikita mentioned. That was you shoot up a flare with your flare gun, and a big plane comes over, just like the drops that we're seeing right now is like just sort of events, and drops a supply stash for you. Not really sure what's in it. It's a standard flares or standard stash is probably just going to have like the normal stuff we see in the ones we have today. So it may just be full of mid-tier stuff, and it may be something that you may want to pick up and just leave with. So you jump into something that is super, slow, and you're like, hey, let's just get it done. Let's get out of here. It is a weapon technically, so I'm assuming that the flares cannot be shoved in your container. So if you bring it in, you might as well just use it when you can. It more than likely will attract a bunch of attention to you, so you may want to do it mid to late in the raid itself, so that maybe before scavs spawn in and after you've killed a few PMCs, so you don't get swarmed. But that's up to you. Another big note is he was very excited to say this. He was very much in the realm of, don't think that you can bring in a bunch of them and just have, with all your friends, shoot up a bunch of flares and have like 10 or 12 crates show up and be like, hey, party. There will be a limit to location and map as to how many you can call in. And then apparently there are different types of flares that will bring in different crates and different types of things. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're airstrikes, because that would be interesting. I don't know if there's like medical supplies, ammo supplies, what have you. But there's going to be multiple types. That is confirmed. And we'll see what they are. But that was something that I think it'll be interesting for sure. I think it'll be a huge target for Chads. If a Chad sees that, pops in the air, you know for a fact there will be guys headed over as fast as possible. And heck, there might even be some guys that just pop it up in the air and just leave it. Leave it for anybody to come up on and use it as bait. That's very possible as well. I don't know. But that is very much going to be something that I'm looking forward to seeing the results of. I don't know if I'll be using too many of them myself, but I will be having fun watching it all go down. Anyway, that is all that has been talked about from the Tarkov TV podcast on April 1st, 2022. I am very excited for all this. I hope you all are too. Like I said, currently we have our Toby test from Tobias. I believe he's one of the lead ambassadors at BSG, and we're doing that right now. So look forward to that series coming up, and the rest of the Challenger series that we have going on right now. If you've been watching this and having a good time, thank you so much. Make sure to like it and comment for the algorithm, and I would appreciate it. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Danotage, and I'll see you next time. Bye.